Welcome to Hispanic Biz, Success Stories. I'm Homero Galicia. We're fortunate to interview successful business owners who built wonderful businesses to learn from them their story. Why they built the business, how they built the business, the challenges they faced and how they overcame them. Every business has a story. Today we have a wonderful engineer who built a very nice business that we're fortunate to interview, Mr. Antonio Rico, the president of ESEI. Mr. Rico, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me here. Appreciate the invitation.
Mr. Rico, ESEI, what is that?
ESEI is a telecommunications engineering and IT services company that designs, builds, and manages both telecommunications and IT infrastructure so that clients can concentrate on their businesses. We are primarily a service company. We've always been a service company, even though sometimes we see ourselves selling different types of systems and equipments. At the end of the day, we are a professional services company.
How many years in business now?
We've been in business since 1994. That's almost going on 22 years.
Wow.
This January will be 22 years.
Fantastic.
It's been a good ride.
And you're an engineer?
I am an engineer. I'm an electrical engineer. Graduated from Utah back in '81. Actually 80, if I think about it. And yes, I've always been doing engineering. Of course, with the business, you do less and less and less. And I'm entering in a phase where I really don't want to do engineering. I just want to concentrate on the business, which I enjoy very much.
Yeah, fantastic. Appreciate that. Where were you born, Mr. Rico?
I was actually born here in El Paso, Texas. El Paso has been part of my life since I can remember. I did grow up in Juarez, interestingly enough, and then I came to college here in El Paso and just ended up not really looking back. And I first worked for the El Paso Electric Company as a communications engineer. Later on, I moved to El Paso Natural Gas, doing the same thing, just building primarily microwave radio systems for protection and monitoring of electrical lines as well as natural gas pipelines. That's what got me into telecommunications, to be honest with you. And then after I left those companies and started ESEI, we kept doing the same thing for some of the same companies that I worked for. So that's my background primarily in the telecom engineering side.
As a young man growing up, you grew up in Juarez? I
grew up in Juarez. I guess I started to move more and more to the El Paso area after I started college.
Okay. Did you have an idea of engineering as a kid, or?
No, I did not. I actually graduated from high school in Juarez, La Escuela Preparatoria Federal. I remember vividly that one night I'm speaking to my mom and telling her, I don't know what to do now. I know that I need to go to university. That was a big thing with her. But I said, I don't know what to study. And she looked at me and, like the way that she is, never telling you what to do, but always having a good opinion about it. And she said, you ought to study engineering. You're very good with numbers. And I think you need to study electrical engineering because that's the career of the future. So I signed up, and that's the reason I studied engineering. She doesn't remember that, but it is the reason why I chose electrical engineering. And I remember that, about halfway through college, I was pulling my hair with calculus and all this math and electromagnetic theory and all the kind of good stuff that we have to go through. And I, at the time, I said, I need to move to something else, maybe business. And the only reason I didn't do it, I did not want to disappoint my mom. I had to finish, and I did. I'm a very good example that any young man or woman can study anything they want.
Really?
Anything that they set their mind to. So.
Well, your mother influenced you a lot. What's your mother like?
Yeah, she did. My mom had a small business. She sold clothing out of her house, and I was the collector. I was the collector and the chauffeur, because she never learned to drive. And so I would go around Juarez, collecting the weekly payment or delivering clothes, and so I always saw that she was pretty independent, that she enjoyed her independence, just being able to make those decisions on a daily basis, what to buy, what not to buy, what particular clothing agent to work with, and what not to, really do any business with. And I enjoy that. I enjoy the fact that she could do whatever she wanted during the day. Of course, she was always working. And so I kind of took that as my model. And since I was very young, I had that bug in the back of my head that I had to have a business. And even, after 22 years and several ups and downs, like any business, whenever I hit a block, whenever I hit a wall, I always think of my mom. Somehow she always figured how to get through the rough spots and get, 5 kids, moving through life, doing well, and 4 of them out of college. And, we're, before that, college was not even in the family dictionary. And so 4 or 5, ended up graduating from college.
Wow.
But all the 5, the common denominator is that we are very hard workers, and that's because of her. And my dad, of course. I mean, he was always there, always pushing work.
What did your dad do?
My father was in the bond business in Juarez. In Juarez, you need bonds or fianzas for cars and property and, all sorts of things. And he was involved in that kind of business.
Was it like a business, independent business?
He started working for his father. And then later he moved on his own and became an agent for a particular firm.
And so 5 of you, brothers and sisters?
There's 3 boys and 2 girls. I'm the oldest, and then two of the girls, and then the younger 2 boys. And they're all now in El Paso. So is my mom, by the way. My sisters actually moved there when things got a little bit rough in Juarez, and she's been here in El Paso since then.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting enough. Like I was mentioning, she doesn't drive yet. Sometimes she'll get on the bus and go to the El Paso Juarez bus terminal and hop on a bus, and has a cousin pick her up on the other side and goes and see her clients. At 84, she's still selling. She's still visiting clients. Of course, we worry about an older lady being out in the street by herself. But we just don't have the nerve to tell her what to do. At least I don't. I have a lot of respect for what she's done. I have a lot of respect for what, how positive she is about life. Even at 84, she hasn't given up. And
did she have dichos or sayings that she would?
There's many of them that I use unconsciously here and there. And but most of the stuff that she always taught us or we heard from her was that everything's going to be okay, and you just keep on it and don't give up, and we'll be all right.
So you come over to UTEP, having done high school and all your schooling in Juarez, and you come over here in English. What was that like?
I don't know if I was naive. It was never really a problem, even though I know that it was there. I mean, but since I can remember, I was very young. My father would always watch U.S. TV, never the Mexican TV. Very interesting. He would say that, no, Mexicans don't know how to make TV. I don't know where he got that, but so he would always watch the U.S. shows. Hawaii Five-0, it's one of the ones I remember he would never miss, right? He would even watch the American news, and I think that because of that, I had an ear for English, and then of course in Juarez, both in elementary, high school, we always had English classes. So when I came over here and I started speaking it, I started to really get better at it. When I was first hired at the electric company, and I'm so thankful for that, for the people that gave me the opportunity. I understood English very well, but I didn't speak it. And I still don't even know why would they hire me, but they did. And that was a challenge for me to really learn it better, and so I practiced a lot. I started reading in English, and I started reading the newspaper and books. And remember, I picked up John Grisham, and he's been one of my favorite authors just because of what he meant to me. Just learning the language through him.
I've known you as a reader. I've always, and you devour books.
Well, I don't know about devour. I don't think that I spend enough time or enough time as I should reading. I think that in business particularly, reading is very important. You need to read about your industry. You need to read about the condition of businesses in the world, or just locally. You need to read about your suppliers. You need to read about your clients. I think that that's the best way to prepare yourself. As a matter of fact, I remember watching a show on TV, and I can remember exactly what channel, but they were interviewing Bill Gates and oh my God, his name escaped. And Warren Buffett. I think it was the University of Nebraska that they did an interview, and one of the they asked them, both of them, what superpower they would like to have, and both of them said reading. and it is true. I mean, you have to read. You have to understand what's going on around you, and we cannot get it, on the internet just reading headlines, right? You really need to go into whatever subject you want to discuss it and understand what's behind it.
Well, I know you as a mature business person, and I want to explore how you developed that. So your UTEP, did you finish in 4 years?
Actually, it took me 5.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess took it easy. Maybe there were a couple of obstacles that were very tough for me to jump across. In particular, dynamics still reminds me of those rough times somehow. But I graduated. I finally got through all of that, and yeah, 5 years.
And then you go to work right away?
Actually, yeah, it took me a while to find the right job. Again, it's all tied to friends and family, right? I mean, I'm working for a small maquiladora across the border, and I really didn't enjoy what I was doing, especially because it didn't include a lot of engineering work. It was more business development, a little bit of wining and dining with some of the clients, and I felt that I had not gone to college to do that. So one day I took my mom to the supermarket in Juarez, and I stumbled across this very good friend of mine that was with his mom in the same supermarket, so they will give you an idea of my background. And we started talking. He asked me where I was, and I told him, and he said, "Are you happy?" And I said, "No, I'm not." I said, we're looking for engineers at the electric company. And I said, "Well, okay." He said, "You want to interview?" I said, "Sure." So he got me the first interview, and that's how I ended up at the electric company.
And how long did you work there?
About 6 years.
Really?
And then about 7 years at the gas company.
Wow, okay. So was that work that you did, was that preparation for what you got into in business?
I'm not sure that it was preparation. I was going to have a business regardless. Okay. And it just felt at the time that I had enough experience to do it. Lo and behold, I think that the only experience I didn't have was actually building a business plan. I used to say that it's not that important, yet running a business without a plan is pretty risky. But I jumped like that. I jumped, even having 2 boys and a family and all that kind of good stuff. I still went ahead and did it. But I at least back then I didn't prepare myself very well for that experience. And so I learned a lot along the way, and there was some very rough spots at first where I was actually thinking of just getting out of the business. Wow. But again, I'm going back to once I decide that I want to do something, I'm going to try to make it happen. If you ask experts, they'll tell you that I'm crazy doing that, but that's just who I am.
So did you have a family when you started the business?
Yeah. My 2 boys were already
really
school age. They were going to St. Pius already.
So what year did you marry?
Excuse me?
What year did you marry?
I married my wife Lorena in 1984.
Okay.
Yes, we're going on 32 years.
And is she from here too?
She's from Juarez. She's from Juarez. She went to school with my sister, and that's how I met her. And so it's a very good life.
And you have two sons?
2 boys, Antonio and Diego. Yeah.
Okay, they're grown now.
They're grown. Antonio is 29 now. He works for an airline in Dallas, and Diego, 26, and works for a telecom company here in El Paso, and also is into acting, directing, making short films, all the kind of good stuff that he enjoys so much.
You had mentioned to me that he did a film that got...
his first film, which is very El Paso one, called Gift to Gab. It's about this Mexican-American young man that wants to date a Mexican girl, and he doesn't speak Spanish, so he wants to learn. So it's kind of, it's a story that we see here in El Paso a lot. And his second one, Sunrise, actually made it to Cannes this year in May.
So he's a young
they selected
filmmaker.
as a yeah. But he's also very good with numbers, so I don't know what he's going to do. He's a very hardworking individual.
So you and your wife put both your boys through college.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, I think that college is a very good start.
Here at UTEP?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're minors. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I did the right thing, but I remember when they were very young, and we would drive by UTEP and said, "That's your school right there," and they just grew up knowing that they were going to go to UTEP, and it was a good thing. It was a very good thing.
So when you started your business without a plan, did you name it ESEI at the beginning?
The reason that we ended up naming it ESEI, which stands for Electro Systems Engineers Incorporated, is at the time when we started the business, there were 4 of us, and 2 people were going to do electrical design, and 2 others were going to do telecommunication systems. That's the electro systems. But all of us were engineers. Somehow that first idea never really panned out, and ended up just being telecommunications. And at one time I had partners, and then I bought them out. Owning a business and being on the same page all the time is very difficult, and especially when you have more partners than what, not that what you can handle, but that partners that really don't have the same vision, and that kind of happened to us. And if I was to have partners again, I would manage it completely different. I think that was a very big lesson. Of course, I lost a couple of good relationships that at the time I treasured, but that's, you know, the lack of a plan came calling at that moment when we couldn't really get our partnership going the way that we should have.
How long did you operate?
It was a
that
long
way?
time. I mean, we started in '94, and I think that if I remember correctly, it was 2002 when I ended up buying out the company. So it was a period about 8 years, 9 years that we worked together. And again, I think that the biggest thing was that we didn't work on a very strong business plan.
What kind of contracts did you begin getting at the beginning?
At the beginning was just you know, consultancy contracts with some of the people that we worked. I think that that's one area that at first I missed. I was very gung-ho on the telecom side, not so much on the IT side, and that particular the division between the two became more and more blurred, where today is just one. Telecom, IT is all the same, and I think I missed that particular point of our field, that maybe our company should have a little bit more IT content than what it did.
Were those early years fun, or were they just struggle?
I want to tell one thing. ESEI has had some pretty serious downs, some pretty good ups, but I have never been happier. Owning a business is what I was supposed to do. And even at my age, 58, I'm still looking for that formula that will that would make some things happen for me. It's pretty interesting. I had the opportunity to go to this program financed by Goldman Sachs. It's called Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses. A friend of mine referred me to the program, and I had the opportunity to go. It's a 10-week course, 8 weeks online, 2 in person in Boston, and oh my God, I learned so much on how to run a business, things that I kind of knew, but I didn't practice, and so that becomes kind of the modus operandi from then on. And so I'm running the business for what I call my last 10 years, actually my last 9 years. I have decided that by age 68, I need to be out of the picture, either doing something else or just getting out. Technology is difficult; it's always changing. There's always new things, and it's a young man's game, and I'm not getting any younger. So I need to step out, either go do different types of businesses or whatever else may come up.
Why'd you say 68?
It's just a number, right? I mean, it is tied together. It's tied to financial goals that I have. And I figure that in 9 years I will be able to make those goals, and then and then move on. Do whatever else I want to do. I don't know.
This program you went to was recent, last year, last
It was
year?
this year, actually. It was March to April of this year.
So you've been operating your business now 22 years, and you go to this program, this great program by Goldman Sachs, and you learn a lot about business. Now, you've always been studying and learning about business. I mean, I know that you've implemented, I know that we talked about the
Balanced scorecard.
balanced scorecard. And balanced scorecard for me is for large businesses, but you read it, and you understand it, and you applied it to your small business.
Yeah, and it was great. I really like that tool, and I continue to use it. But because what you just said, that it's a big business game, I ended up having a lot more goals and objectives than a small business can handle. So I'm scaling back. I still think that I'll use the same concept of the scorecard, but now more focus on more important KPIs, so key performance indicators that will really tell the health of the business in the next 9 years, like I say. Now, it doesn't mean that at 68 I'm just going to disappear. Maybe I'll continue doing projects that I enjoy. Yeah. Maybe I continue, just fostering relationships with clients. Maybe I'm just going to go play golf. I don't know.
But I remember one time we showed you execution, the art of execution, something like that. And you like that? You read that material and?
Yeah, because I think that at the end of the day, my biggest problem has been execution, not really being very detail oriented when implementing projects or new services, and so that helped me understand some things that I had to do differently in order to get things done the right way. And two, the other part is, lack of confidence on myself, and my ability to sell. And at my age, I'm still trying to figure that out, and I actually am getting better at it. It's kind of interesting.
So would you say you're more analytical?
They did a profile on me not long ago, and it says that I'm an influencer, right? So I don't know about analytical. I tend to analyze things. I like to analyze things and try to find the reason and then apply a solution for it. But a lot of times, it's easier, it should be better to just do something and then see what comes back.
Well, and I'm kind of, because I know entrepreneurs that just jump and move and don't plan and they don't handle theory. You plan, you handle theory, you implement, you do a lot of that. I
think that you're right about a lot of entrepreneurs just jumping and doing things. But then there's also a lot of entrepreneurs like myself, they just plan. and so there has to be a balance. And so, I'm not saying that the company has done bad, by no stretch of the imagination, but I think the next 9 years will be a lot more focused, a lot more prone, not prone, but a lot more insistent in making things happen from beginning to end in very specific time frames.
That's interesting the way you say that. You have a better sense that you can make things happen than you had before. Is that?
Yes, I do. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that maybe finally my mind settled. I don't know what it is, but I feel a lot more confident today about making the goals that I set for my last 10 years than I ever did. So that's a very true statement.
So let me ask you about being a business owner at the level where you're at now, and we'll get back into talking about the growth of your business, but you're talking about actually having a direction and moving your business. What is it to be? What is it like to be a business owner, and knowing that you have this machinery you can move?
I don't know that I have a special feeling of being a business owner. Like I was telling you, something that it was like second nature to me that I had to do. It's been in my mind since I can remember, maybe high school, like I say, maybe just seeing my mother work her business. So I don't think about something special. It's just who I am. I enjoy that. I enjoy being out. I enjoy meeting people. if there's one thing for sure, I enjoy being around people. I enjoy talking to them. I enjoy exchanging ideas. And so I don't. It's just something that I was born to do. I guess I don't.
Did your brothers and sisters, did any of them go independent business?
One of my sisters did for a period of time. She actually owned a mail services business, and she did well. She doesn't have it anymore. But the rest of us, the rest of them have been, always employed successfully.
So you're looking at 22 years of business now. How many employees do you have now?
We're 9. We're 9.
Okay. And how big were you at times?
We got as big as 90.
Really?
Yes, there was a time when we had some government contracts that made us, reach that amount.
So what did you learn in this Goldman Sachs program that really spoke to you?
I think that it had to do with really looking at your indicators and making sure that you put the right strategy in place to make those goals. If it is more revenue or better margins, or just make sure that you focus and on a handful of them, not in a very long list of them. Just concentrate on the amount of money that you're bringing in and how much you're keeping, how many employees you're bringing to the company, because more employees, more revenue, mean more revenue, and of course more earnings. So the focus was very heavy on making sure that you grow revenue and that you put the people in place to make sure that you earn as much as possible of that revenue, not just spend it.
But you've always operated that way.
As a small business, you do to a great extent, but then how do you use those numbers for growth, right? How do you look at those numbers, not necessarily just to see if you're doing okay, but to grow the business? And that's the part that I think I was missing in my previous years, where I was saying, okay, well, we're doing okay, we're making money with this, but is there potential to make more money? And the answer is yes, right? Are you really using the resources that you have in place well enough, efficiently enough, to make sure that you're making as much money as possible what you have before you bring another person? And so that is what clarified the picture quite a bit.
Oh, fantastic. I appreciate you sharing that. ESEI is Electro
Systems engineers, yeah.
Electro Systems Engineers. And you do
telecommunications engineering and IT services.
And you began in 1994.
1994.
And you started in the microwave?
That's what I did when I was when I worked for El Paso Electric and El Paso Natural Gas here in town. Two great companies, by the way. And that's I learned, or I was responsible for designing and building that kind of system for protection of electric lines and monitoring of natural gas pipelines. So that was my background. That's been my background. Of course, because of technology changes, it's not as even though we still use it, it's not the same as what we used to do back in the day. But yes, that's my background, and we started at the ESEI doing some of that, doing some networking a little bit for larger companies.
You're an electrical engineer,
Mm-hmm.
and you started your business with several engineers as
Mm-hmm.
kind of as partners.
Mm-hmm. Right.
With the intent, what was the intent?
Well, the intent was to have a multi-discipline firm doing electrical design and telecommunication systems. But for whatever reason, things didn't pan out the way we wanted them.
So, because I know you became a SBA 8A certified company.
Yeah, actually, throughout, I can't remember the exact year that we got that. It's a 9-year program, as a lot of people know. I didn't really use much of that until my last 4 years of the program, and only because I met someone that was able to get us a couple of contracts but in all honesty, even though we had some success with the 8A program, it was not a program that I really embrace. I don't want to. I know that a lot of companies have done very well under the program. I think a lot of companies have done great with the government, but it is not a client, a federal government client that I was able to decipher for whatever reason. I enjoy the private world very, very much. I enjoy the local state government agencies where we can have a little bit more face-to-face, a little bit more of a human relationship. I'm not in any way saying anything negative about federal government contracting at all. It's just that for whatever reason I was not able to really understand.
Did you get some big contracts?
You know, they were good-sized contracts. I'm not gonna say they were humongous, but they were good-sized contracts for us, absolutely.
Were they microwave related?
Well, no. See, that's one thing with federal contracting that you end up doing. You have to be willing to do broader services, and my company has always been very niche oriented. You know, we do microwave, we do telecommunications, we do IT services, but only a certain type of IT service. You know, we don't do everything. IT is a very big concept, and you can do infrastructure, you can do application, you can do internet, web development, you name it. Well, we are very focused on in the nuts and bolts of IT.
So what kind of customers do you have today?
Today, we on the telecom side, we support wireless carriers in the United States. We have a couple of clients that hire us to do surveys and field testing for them throughout the United States. Thanks to that, I've gotten to see a lot of the country, all over the place. Of course, electric utilities, which is one type of client that we understand very well. We have a very good background with them. We also have clients in the water sector, where we do some projects for them. Some engineering companies, larger engineering companies that work for water, electric, natural gas. So we end up doing subcontract work for them. And then locally here, we're more focused on the IT environment, doing managed services, basically just running their IT so that they can run the business, or supporting larger IT groups with the infrastructure while they concentrate on the business application.
Like what kind of, how big are your clients?
You know, it's very interesting. They vary because El Paso, think about the El Paso economy. I mean, you have a little bit of every industry represented in the area, and then you have 2 or 3 really large organizations, and then you have 2 or 3 medium-sized, and then boom, a bunch of small ones. That's the story of El Paso. Once you understand that, you can really develop a good marketing campaign. So in the IT sector, we have clients of different sizes, but the way that we serve our IT clients is allows us to not have large and small clients. We just have clients because we're supporting end users at the end. One of the things that we've been successful at is really understanding that IT, no matter what the issue is a customer service issue. It is not a computer issue. It is not a networking issue. It is making sure that their user can get back to work as soon as possible. And I tell my people, I said, listen, we're in the frustration business. When we pick up that phone, 90% of the time, we're going to have a very frustrated person on the other side. Frustrated because they cannot get their job done. Frustrated because they don't understand what's happening with that machine. And so we need to be very careful not to upset him anymore. That's why I say we're in the customer service business. We're really not in the technology business.
So I mean, if a user has a problem with a PC, you manage the network.
Right.
How does that PC involve itself with the network?
Well, I mean, every PC nowadays is connected to a network, right? And they're connected to an application, and they're connected to the web, and so the connection is critical for them to do their work. They need to get to the application for the day-to-day, enter their transactions. They need to get to the web because a lot of times they need to send emails to clients and suppliers. And so if they can't do that, then they're not going to make their numbers at the end of the day, right? So we need to be very proactive, very responsive, and very understanding of their problem.
You're also experts in security, cybersecurity?
You know, there's one area that we depend on some of our vendors for support. The way that we look at technology, and I don't care whether it's telecom or we look at it, if you maintain it well, if you take care of your data, if you secure your environment. When we talk about securing, we're not just talking about making sure that your firewall is well configured, that your antivirus is in place, but also the governance of IT. You know, if someone leaves the company, you know, we need to get rid of that profile as soon as possible so that there's no potential for breaches or whatever. And then lastly, you know, always have some type of a plan or a solution in place so that you can respond to an emergency, right? So that's the way that we attack it. We try to be proactive, that is reducing downtime as much as we can, predicting some potential disasters as a result of you know, many things. You know, people, whenever we think of disasters, we immediately think of hurricanes and tornadoes, and yet when it comes to IT, a water pipe breaking can cause you havoc, right? And you can lose a lot of information. You can lose your business. And so that's we try to understand what can go wrong and try to take actions before they become a problem.
So many businesses just depend so much on their network.
I think nowadays every business depends on technology. You know, take the federal government. If you are a federal contractor, you have to have internet expertise so that you can connect with them all the time, right? Everything is done paperlessly. The government doesn't use paper anymore.
Well, you've been up and down in your business. You mind sharing some of your biggest challenges?
I think that the biggest challenge for me has been finding or defining what I want for my people so that they know what to expect and they know what to work on in order to deliver what I'm looking for. I think that I'm getting much better at that, and hopefully this last 10 years I'll be able to do that. But it has been a challenge. Finding the right people to work in your business is always difficult. I've been fortunate enough that I don't have very bad turnover. As a matter of fact, I have employees that have been with me for many years. That speaks to well about the environment that we have established. It's an environment of ideas, and at least I think that people have the latitude to propose ideas and that they're actually taken seriously. In technology, not everybody knows everything. You have to understand that, and you have to listen to what other people are proposing whenever you have a situation in front of you.
So how did you overcome that challenge, as you described?
Well, first of all, understanding that not everybody has all the ideas, especially me. You know, you have to be very open to the people that work for you, and if you put them in a position, you need to really trust them that they're going to do a good job. And if they're not, instead of just beating the daylights out of them, you sit down with them and coach them, and that's difficult. Coaching an employee is very difficult for a lot of people. I certainly for me, but I look for ways, and again, just trying to sit down and talk.
So you invest your time in your employees?
Of course, yeah. I try to, and especially letting them know what we're doing, where we're going as a company. I have quarterly meetings where we show the results of the last quarter, and they appreciate that because they understand where they're standing, you know. And even we share the bad news. I mean, if we're going to lose a good client, we share it and we discuss the whys and fortunately, I can say that most of the time when we lost a client, it's not because something bad that we did, it's something changed, you know, either in their financial position, in the way that they want to run the business. And we're a service provider, right? I mean, we are there whenever they need us, and so we try to be very understanding when a client says, okay, you know, I want to do something different. We know that sooner or later we'll be doing something else for them.
But you also invest your time in this community. I know you were the chairman of the Hispanic Chamber.
Sure, you know, El Paso has been very good to me. I love the city. I love the fact that my boys grew up in it, that my family resides in it. And so, you know, the least I can do, and let me tell you, I don't do enough. And as a matter of fact, in this new plan that I'm implementing for my last 10 years, and I keep saying I'm not doing as much as I used to, and I don't think I ever did enough, right? But it's, whenever we talk about giving back to the community, you end up learning a lot more than what you bring to the table. Certainly that was the case at the Hispanic Chamber. When I was the chair, I actually, in my opinion, I ended up taking a lot more than what I put in. I would not be sitting here and speaking with you in front of cameras if it hadn't been for that experience.
Really?
Because before that, I was deadly afraid of speaking in front of cameras or publicly.
Mm-hmm.
That went away when during that year that was the chair. Imagine, you know, chairing meetings when we're across the table. There's all these people that are very smart, very successful, and you're kind of, you know, taking the meeting, you know, or moving the meeting along. It does require some self-confidence building that I didn't have at the time. So I keep saying that, you know, the Hispanic Chamber has given me a lot more than what I gave.
You talk about self-confidence a little bit. What, in introspection, is that something that is common to us as Hispanic business owners here in El Paso?
I think that self-confidence is something that every businessman, woman should have. We need to have that. I mean, when you stand up and say, this is what I do, and this is who I do it for, you need to sound confident, you need to sound convinced of what you're saying. I think that the great majority of business have that. That's one area that I've been fighting, you know, not having enough of that confidence to get up and say, you know, I can do this for you, and a lot of times, as the owner of the company, I need to be the one really selling the company constantly. I'm getting better at it, and I'll continue working on it. Once the doors open, I do a good job. But opening the doors has been something of a challenge for me, and we'll continue to work on it. It's part of that fun.
So you're still growing?
Oh yeah, I don't think you should stop growing ever.
Well, if we look at your business in steps, because you're now going into you've been in business 22 years,
mm-hmm.
So you're going into your third phase, say.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you're preparing a transition out
mm-hmm.
for the next 10 years,
mm-hmm.
or 9 years. So is it fair to say that maybe your first 10 years was stage 1 and your second 10 years stage 2?
Yeah. I think the first 10 years, like I said, you know, I had some partners. We were doing certain things that we enjoyed, but the business, you know, was having some issues, and the primary was that we really never, maybe we never really agreed on a specific plan. So then the second phase, I'm on my own, right? I'm just calling whatever shot I want. I'm taking the company wherever I want to go. Which in itself can be a problem, right? Because you become isolated from everything else, and you don't have anyone that you can bounce ideas. In the latter phase of the business, there's a lot more input from the outside. I was fortunate enough to belong to a group within this Goldman Sachs program that really bonded very, very well, and we still meet once a month over video conference. And we discuss one issue or two issues that one of us is having, and that alone has been fantastic. When I told him that I'm preparing I want to be ready to get out when I'm 68, right? So I told them exactly what I was doing, and they gave me a bunch of good ideas. You know, think about the end, think about this. What do you want? Very good information that I'm using. I think that in that sense, I'm a lot more complete of a business person, because I have now mentoring from the outside, from other business people that will probably be looking at the same thing in the next 8 years.
We used to office in the same complex. I used to visit with you a little bit. You've moved now, and I moved, and I haven't visited with you. But we used to share a lot, and I appreciate that sharing. But I learned to admire you a lot because you explore and you dig into to try to understand an issue.
Yeah, I enjoy that. Just trying to figure out what happened, what and how better, how to do it better, and yes, how to improve myself. Like I say, I have never stopped growing. I continue to grow. I continue to study. I like doing that. I don't. It's just who I am. I enjoy doing it.
Well, you see a lot of small business owners, and especially at the Hispanic Chamber, you saw a lot of small businesses. What would you say to small business? What do small business owners need to do?
I'm not gonna really say what they need to do. I will tell you what I would do if I were to start another business again. I would try to have a little bit better understanding of what I'm doing, of what I'm offering, and of how I'm going to do it. That's called a business plan, right? So there's always a lot of goodwill in when you launch a company, right? You say, oh, yeah, I want to do this, and I can make it happen. But we really don't think objectively. And it is, if I was to do it again, I think that I would find the person that could help me or would make me answer those questions before I launched the business. The world is very competitive. The world is very demanding. Technology has really opened up any potential client to many options. You don't have to have someone in El Paso anymore to do a specific thing. They can get it from wherever on the internet, right? From any country in the world, for that matter. So I think that the main thing to do is to really understand what it is that you're selling, but most importantly, understand who you're selling it to and why they're going to buy it. I think that that's what our focus is for the next 10 years, right? Is, all right, so who are we working for, and what is it we're bringing to the table, and how are we going to make them better? And fortunately, technology is one area that is not going to go away, but it's always changing. And our clients can read, information on the internet and determine, hey, I may be able to sell this out to someone in Malaysia. I don't have to be here. So, just if I was to do it again, it's really trying to understand what I'm offering, who I'm offering it to, and how am I going to do it better than anybody else.
Why do you do what you do?
I started in technology for my business because that's what I knew or what I know. But today, I'm 100% convinced that the reason that I'm in technology is not the technology itself, is the customer service piece. I enjoy working with people. I enjoy being the face of the company. Whenever there's a problem, and this is a fact, whenever there's a problem, we don't hide behind email and voicemail. I call the client myself. We're a business made out of humans. We make mistakes. As much as we don't want to, there's going to be mistakes. And of course, those mistakes will end up affecting our clients. We need to be conscientious about that. So whenever something like that happens, I call them up and say, this happened, we missed this, or we didn't do that, whatever the case may be. And then we say, and these are the steps that we're going to take to fix it. Now, fortunately, it doesn't happen too often, but it does happen. It does happen. And that is the time when I really enjoy the most being a business owner. When I can get in front of a client and say, listen, I'm terribly sorry for this, but this is what we're going to do for you, and then making it happen.
You talk about really customer service, that you're a customer service business. People talk customer service. What does customer service mean? It's a very difficult concept, right? Customer service. You're right. We all use it. We have the best customer service, but I think that in order for you to service your client well, it has to become kind of a mindset. Everybody needs to understand
what are the final objectives? Not long ago, I listened to a TED Talk
Yes.
by Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
Start with why.
Yeah.
And that really struck me. And whenever we talk to clients, they ask me, so what do you do? We do this, the why, right?
Yeah.
We reduce the downtime, we respond quickly, and we support your internal team if that's what you need. So I think that once you think that way, you can go and tell the client, this is what we're going to do for you. This is exactly, and then make everybody in your team think it the same way, right?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. In fact, I used that in my class last night. I showed the Simon Sinek TED Talk on how influential leaders lead, or how people influence people. The why is important. Interesting that you saw that. But how important is vision to a business?
A business without a vision is nothing else than a dream. If you don't have a vision of where you want to take your business, it's going to be very difficult for it to stay alive, much less succeed. Every morning when I get up, I think about how my business is going to look when I reach 68. Right, that's the goal. So I know that the building is going to look like this, and I want to have this kind of team, and the kind of meeting that we're going to have in the morning. Every morning when I get up, that's what I'm aiming at. And if you don't have that aim, if all you want to do is make money, you may make it. I'm not saying there's very good people, very good salespeople that can make a lot of money. But in order to move a business forward, to grow a business, you need to know where you're going. And right now, it's very clear to us where we're going is very, and it's very doable. It has to be doable, right? So we're right now stretching ourselves to make sure that we get there.
So is the drive that you had when you began your business, when the drive you had when you went to college and finished, the drive you had when you came over from Juarez to go to school here, and to, is that drive still part of your life?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It continues to move me. There's times in life when you may lose that drive because of many factors, maybe health, maybe the business climate, maybe the economy, maybe whatever. But once you will always regain that drive. You will always find yourself saying, oh, wait a second, this is what I started. This is the reason why I started. So why am I not focused in what I want to do? And once you regain that, the drive will always be there. I was telling about my mom. She's 84, and she's still going and visiting clients because she still thinks that it's going to make new clients. And ooh, what a concept. I want to be 84 and still have that drive to get up in the morning and go and visit a client.
Well, your business you've had ups and downs.
Right.
And some of the downs are pretty tough.
Right.
So what keeps
Some of the ups are pretty tough.
Really? Why?
Oh, yeah. Because it will stretch your resources to the point that they're not happy. You have to be very careful whenever you're in an up that you're not overloading your staff, the people that are making you, to the point that you may break them. So actually, in my mind, it is a lot more difficult to manage growth than a low spot.
So is growth best when it's a step-by-step, slow process?
Yes, I think so. I think that it allows people time to mature. It allows the organization time to grow, time to really, for all the pieces to work right. And then you bring another person instead of, or if you bring 10 people, it's a lot more difficult than just bringing one and training them on your processes, your systems. So yeah, it has to be.
Is it fair to ask if as you have matured as a person, your business has matured?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you're the brains of the business, and you may have other people working, but at the end of the day, it is your vision as the owner, and you need to make sure that everybody shares that vision. And two, you are the one that has the ideas. And remember, as open of an environment that you may have, your team may not tell you everything that they see. Okay, so you have to be very open-minded and very mature to listen to what they're saying and try to find those little pieces of information that you need, because you may be doing something wrong. I mean, remember, we're humans.
So is listening an indication of maturity?
Yeah, I think so. I think that when I was young, I was a terrible listener. But I'm getting better at it. Maybe my wife would disagree with that, but fortunately she's not in the room. And but I do listen. And you know, to be very honest with you, I think that that's one of the reasons why I have a good relationship with my two boys. I listen to what they have to say, and whenever they're asking for an opinion, right? I mean, they're young and they're looking for. Instead of me telling them, you ought to do this, I listen and I try to really find the right thing to say.
Well, fantastic. Well, I appreciate you're sharing your story. You've been in business 22 years. You're going on for your last phase, the next 10 years, and you've been married how many years?
32 years.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And Mr. Antonio Rico of ESEI, I really appreciate your story. It's a fascinating story. You've been a true storyteller. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rico. It's been a delight. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.